Hi, Craig.
Hey,
How are you?
good. How about yourself?
Good, good. I'm curious if people will come. I'm curious. Yes, I appreciate your coming. This is my first time ever teaching with Keller Williams. I've been in this business forever.
Relax.
Tell me about yourself before anybody comes in.
I used to be a Chinese acrobat.
Oh, very nice. Very
No, I'm
creative.
kidding. No, I was born and raised in Broomall, I guess, and I live in Newtown Square now, so I didn't go too far.
Yeah, so where are you coming in from? Exton or Devon or where?
Devon.
Okay.
Yeah, Devon. And before I did this, I was a contractor for years, and I thought it was a good segue to get into real estate. So
this is your second career or your third? Because
It was my
sometimes as a
second.
contractor, this could be your third.
Well, it's funny. I did a lot of stuff. I taught tennis. I drove a school bus. I did a bunch of stuff over the
Sure.
course of time. But, contracting was kind of my main career for years. And, but as Father Time marched along, my body didn't, want to hold out with it. I can still do it, but, I just not full time. I think it would start grading on me. A little
Well,
bit.
and it's a tough business because your body does wear out and there's no real exit plan for it. In a lot of ways, it's similar to real estate that your value is your database.
Yeah.
Right.
So,
How long have you been doing real estate?
only a couple months. I passed my test on January 21st.
Congratulations. Crazy time to get in real estate.
What's that?
Crazy time to join the real estate market.
Apparently, that's what they keep telling me. I haven't made any money yet, but hopefully.
Anybody I've ever mentored, I always kind of say the first year is friends, family, and a little bit of luck.
Uh-huh.
The second year, it all starts to come together, and you make some money. And the third year is really when it hits. The third year is when all of the first 2 years' work starts to really pay off.
Yeah. Well, and it's a lot of stuff to retain too. I was just talking. You have to make a appointment with your mentor.
Mhm.
And I guess in the comments I said, you have to learn Command, you have to learn the MLS, you have to learn the Tri-County website. It's so it's it's a lot to retain.
It
you
is.
know
It is. I
Yeah.
can be honest and tell you that I have not learned Command yet.
Yeah. Oh, really?
Yeah.
Cole Realty is another one you have to kind of
I'm
so it's
lucky because it's been enough years that I don't do a lot with that in terms of finding business.
no.
No, so I'm
And
lucky.
what do you do?
I'm primarily referral based at this point because I've been doing this over 20 years.
Oh, wow.
So a lot of my business just comes from people calling. And welcome to everybody else who's joining us. I want to warn you, I've never taught a class with Keller Williams, and so now I get to teach it over Zoom, which won't be as much fun because I'd rather be around people. But we'll wing it. We'll give everybody a couple more minutes, and then I'd love to do just a quick rundown. Craig and I were talking just of who everybody is and how long they've been in the business, shall we say. So, in fact, why don't we kind of start that while we're waiting. Megan, because I can pronounce your name, we're going with you next. And Serene, I'm probably going to try to screw up your name later. Is it Serene?
Yes, Serene.
Okay. So in the meantime, Megan, while everybody else is coming in, why don't you tell me a little bit about you?
So I'm very new. It's about a month.
Okay.
So
How long?
about a month.
Oh, about a month. Yeah. In the same
Yeah.
boat as me.
Is that how long you were in?
Well, I passed my test on the 21st of January.
Yeah. So I was like, we're close. Yeah.
From what I've been seeing, you're in Newtown Square too. Is that correct?
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah,
you
I'm in
are?
Newcastle. Whereabouts are you?
I'm on Cali Road.
Oh, you're my neighbor.
Where
It's
are
I'm on
you?
I'm on Robbins Lane.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, my God.
It's an amazingly small world.
Small world.
Serene, how about you? Tell me about you.
So I just got my license around Christmas time,
Okay.
and we have a pizza business, and me and my husband used to flip houses.
Great.
So when the pandemic hit us, we decided, he said, why don't you get your license since you're home and the courses are online? So I just did it and start to do some real estate.
Okay. Okay.
Where's the pizza business?
In Coatesville area, Little Anthony's.
Okay.
Well, welcome. Jennifer, I certainly know your name. I'm a terrible communicator sometimes because this market is crazy, but I know you and I communicated a little bit, but I believe it's me who dropped off of that communication.
No, that's okay. Yeah,
welcome.
I'm new. I'm new too. I'm kind of keeping myself busy, learning different things. I have a prospective buyer and seller.
Good.
So I'm just kind of ramping up, making sure I have all my ducks in a row. So I'm
Okay.
ready.
Okay. And all of you are going through the coaching programs, right? And mentors and all that fun stuff.
Yes.
Mhm.
Okay. How about you, Graham? Don't you want to put your video on so we can see you? Oh, and Graham disappeared. Oh, there he is. Hi, Graham. How are you?
Good. Hey, sorry, I was multitasking. Also new, was laid off last year, and then looking as I kind of pivot my career, what I enjoy doing. And my wife has been in property management 6-7 years, and so we were gonna move her over to kind of real estate and focus on real estate. And then I had this nice little window, a lot like Serene, of like, well, maybe I should need to get my license too, so I can support her and hopefully quit and be a full-time husband and wife business. And so that's what we're focused on. She's trying to wrap up her exams and I'm licensed, and we're trying to get things started while holding down other employment.
Okay. Sean, how about you?
I'm sorry, I just jumped on. What was the question?
I'm just, are you new to the business? Just trying to figure out if I think so far everybody's new. So we'll do a couple more and then I'll just go into it because I don't want to waste the hour time we have, but I was just curious. So Sean, are you new to the business?
Gotcha. Yeah, I got my license in October. I've closed 2 deals since then. I have another deal under contract.
Congratulations.
Thank you. I have 7 apartments. So I've been in real estate for like 5 or 7 years. One of the two.
Okay.
But I kind of decided finally, like after talking to the mortgage broker I was using and the real estate agent, I guess last year in 2019, they kind of told me like, hey, you'd be pretty good at this. You know, you still like if you recommend us, 10 people out of those 10, 5 or 6 are still going through and purchasing houses. And they're like, yo, you could be doing this as a job. And it's something that I'm passionate about. So
That's great. That's great. Anne, your name popped up. Thank you, because originally your name wasn't there, so I was going to have trouble figuring out who you were. So I appreciate that. How about a quick, are you new?
I am. I got my license, I guess officially like the middle to the end of February. So a lot to learn, just trying to build my database and learn everything I can at this stage. So pretty
And
new.
Your database is your business. There is no doubt about it. That's one of the best things you can do from the beginning. Nicole, how about you?
Hi, yeah, kind of like Serene and Sean, I've been a real estate investor for the past 7 years. I've flipped over 30 houses and I've sold them all myself. So I kind of know that side of things, but I've never had to know the marketing aspect and trying to get clients.
Right, which is one of the harder parts. But if you've been in any business, you can go out and find real estate business. How about you, Rose?
Hi, yes. I got my license about 3 weeks ago, so I'm very, very new.
Well, I'm glad you're all here. They give me something I'm supposed to follow. So I thought we would jump into that and then try to kind of knock that out in like 30 minutes and then just kind of talk real world about sellers. My name's Chris Stoner. I've been with Keller Williams for 8 years. I ran a small boutique brokerage for 14 years before that. I do primarily a seller business, but when I say that, I go back and I look at the numbers and you realize that so much of your business comes from those sellers that I do a number of buyers, but I do a relationship-based business. So I take my clients on based on where they came from. Did they come from a referral from somebody I worked with before? Did I work with them before? And I'm lucky enough to be done with the going out and searching for them right now. You guys are all coming into the market at a crazy time, challenging time, because typically you start out working with buyers. And right now working with buyers is incredibly frustrating since there's, one house to every 60 buyers, it seems. And the offers are just crazy. It's kind of like an auction more than an actual real estate sale. But that's kind of the fun of it. It's a great time to learn because as the market settles down, you'll be very well poised for the market ongoing. So I'm going to share my screen and let's jump into this first and then we'll kind of go from there. First, one last question. Is anybody on a team versus who's individual? So raise your hand if you're on a team.
I'm on a team.
Okay. All right. So everybody else is an individual agent. Okay, great. So I'm going to share my screen and we'll kind of work through this real quick. I know when they send out the invitation, they say you should watch that slideshow beforehand or that. Did anybody do that?
Yeah.
Yes.
I thought it was pretty good. We're going to go through some of the same stuff. So it'll be a little repetitive. And you guys have been through the Ignite working up to here. So I'm sure you've seen this slide before where they're telling you, and we're going to focus on sellers, but pretty much successful real estate agents every day lead generate in some form or fashion. Some are the callers, some are just doing it as part of their daily life. But you should always be lead generating because that's what builds your business. And there's growing your business and running your business versus working for yourself. And the hustle that comes from showing all the houses and doing all that is different than trying to grow your business by working on your business. So we're going to talk about lead generating and what to do once you have those leads. Let's see how I go to the next slide. Oh, yes. Okay. So here's kind of what we're going to talk through today. We're going to talk through the motivation, understanding what motivates a seller, qualifying, converting them, pre-qualifying them, which is a really important part of it, your listing presentation, and then we'll kind of recap. So the thing, I'm sure you've heard this before, one of the most important things, and we were talking about Cole. Let me get this so I can see everybody again. It's really important, the do not call list. You would be surprised at some of the blog rants I read right now about people who are getting calls that are on the do not call list. You do want to really pay attention. If somebody's on the do not call list, don't call them, don't email, don't write them, just leave them alone because they're more trouble than they're worth in a lot of ways. So do pay attention to that when you are contacting people and lead generating. So finding seller leads, your database, all of you are starting out. So I'm assuming you're building it from sphere of influence. Owning a pizza shop is a great place to be building your database from because those are already friends/clients. You're building your database everywhere you go, regardless of whether you're talking real estate with someone or just having a conversation. If it's somebody who you like, you connect with, put them in your database and think about, is it somebody that you would be working with in the future, want to keep in touch with, what's your value added? And a database of names without information doesn't really do you any good. So take the 2 minutes. Command makes it very easy from my understanding. Take the 2 minutes when you put a name in there to say where you met them and categorize them in some way so that you'll remember who they are. I do have a database. It's about 2,200 names in it, and I know about 600 of them. I'm afraid to just trash the other ones because every now and then you get a random call from somebody and it's nice to know they're in your database. But since you're starting out, the best thing you can do for yourself for the future is to truly build that database right from the beginning. That database will save you from having to lead generate in terms of cold calling and things like that down the road as you've been in the business longer. Also, I hate just talking, so feel free to interrupt me. I don't care at any point in this. This is part of the reason why I just kind of want to get through the slides and then we can talk. I got to be honest, I don't know what the daily 10-4 is. I was hoping maybe one of you could tell me from other Ignites. What's the 10-4? Craig, how about you?
Yeah, I don't, 10-4, I mean, I'd have to guess, you know.
Right, I'm guessing it's like 10 calls and 4 touches or 1, but I don't know what it is, so we're not going to talk about it then.
I mean, I can look in my Ignite sheet here, but
Yeah. No, and I mean, everybody knows that open houses is a great way to get business. Open houses right now are certainly a challenge. For my 20 years in real estate, it was a great way when you're starting out to learn by helping other agents, to touch buyer clients. We used to say that you're not selling a house at an open house, you're selling yourself as an agent and trying to contact buyers. Right now with COVID, open houses, we weren't doing them. Now open houses, you have to pre-register. And I don't know if you've been on any lately. The last one that I sent a client to, there were 31 people in line and they waited an hour and a half before they could get into the house. So some require pre-registration, some don't. So if there is a listing that doesn't sell in the first weekend and you're looking for a way to get leads, an open house is still a good one. Call agents who have properties, listings, and say to them, I would love to sit your open house and work with them. That will always be a good way to get business. However, it's just challenging right now in post-COVID days and also with the lack of inventory. Referrals, always the best place to get business. I always tell people that you don't have to talk to people about real estate, every person you meet. You just have to be excited about what you do. And you'll be amazed at how many referrals you'll get from friends or people that you just touch in an ancillary way because they know you're in the business and they know that you are fun to be around. You have a great air about you. People want to be involved with excited, happy people. If they're hearing that, you know, the market's crazy and you're really slow and you have nothing going on, then you're probably not the person they're putting their friend in touch with. So the more excited you are about this new business you're getting into, the more those referrals will come. And those are your best seller leads because that's typically somebody who is truly thinking about selling, whether it's in the next 10 days or in the next 2 years. That's a strong lead to start with. So any referrals you get, pay attention to them and make sure you thank the person who refers you, even if it doesn't turn into anything. Because the best way to get the next referral from them is to make them feel important about the referral they already gave you, regardless of if it turns into anything. Okay. When somebody refers me a lead, when I hang up with the lead, I get in touch with them and I say, thank you for sending them. If I list the contract, I do send them a Starbucks card, but even more importantly than that, I get in touch with them and say thank you. Usually that's by a text or an email because there's just not enough time in the world to make all the phone calls we should make. And then when it settles, I thank them again so that they're thanked 3 times for giving me a name. If the referral doesn't turn into anything, I still try a month, 2 months. The beauty of having your database and command, you can trigger this for yourself. Go ahead and thank them anyway. Say, they're not ready right now, but I'm so glad you introduced me because that will get you the next referrals from those people. And that's really where, you know, a great place for your leads to come from. Okay. Then you get some leads. And, you know, to me, when you're starting out on your own, you're going to be looking for both buyers and sellers from the very beginning, right? None of you are just trying to do buyers. And I think it was you who said you're on a team. Typically, they're sending you in the directions of buyers and they're asking you to refer in the sellers. What team are you on, Ann?
It's in Westchester, the Rich Crisafulli team.
Okay, absolutely good team.
Mhm.
So when you're in business purely for yourself, without a team, you're looking at buyers and sellers even a little bit harder. And every lead is a good lead, whether it's a good lead for the moment or it's a good lead for the future, you're playing both the short game and the long game. I have nurtured leads for as much as 4 years. But it's great because I know in 3 or 4 years, I still have a pipeline to start out with. And that's what you're building. You're building yourself a pipeline to give yourself a continuous income flow. The problem with real estate is the ebbs and flows of your income. If this is your sole income, it can be hard to not get paid from October till February and then have the feast from March until September. So it's just something to think about as you're building your long game. So let's talk about qualifying. And so in terms of, and I know you guys have probably done some of the other Ignites, when you do get the chance to talk to someone, you want to be sure you're connecting with them. And you won't connect with every person, but the more you connect with them, the more they're going to want to work with you. And as you're trying to connect with them, it's kind of your first chance to show them why you're an expert and why they should talk to you. And some people think that if you haven't been in the business a while, you can't be an expert, and they lean towards other agents. If you do the preparation before you meet sellers and know the market and know their house style and know all the background information, you are just as qualified as an agent who's been in the business for 10 years. It truly is about preparation and paying attention. So these connecting questions are good ones because what you want to find out is, why are they considering selling? Where are they going to go? Especially in today's market today, it's great to have seller leads, but if they're going to then have to find a house to buy, while that's a good problem to have for you to get 2 deals, they have to be able to find a place to live. And that's the biggest challenge right now. You're seeing enormous rent backs. There's not even a ton of rentals out there for somebody to go into short term to take advantage of today's market. So when you're doing these connecting questions, it's a perfect time to learn the why, the what, the when, the how, and know, whether there's someone that can accomplish their goals and that you want to work with. You won't want to work with everybody, but at the beginning, you don't really get to say no. So, okay, so let's talk about seller lead categories. So basically, I'm sure, again, your mentors have talked to you this, A, B, and C. So an A lead is somebody who's ready to do business in less than 15 days. B is 15 to 60 days, and C is 61 days or more. So as you're building your database, you do want to have a plan for these people. And the better you connect with somebody in the initial qualifying conversations, the more information that you can put into your database to remember what to connect with them again later. So let's say it's somebody who isn't going to sell right now, but you want to stay in touch with them. So you're going to put them in a database, call them monthly. You need to have a note or something to remind yourself what you connected on with them. Otherwise, you're starting out cold again. And that's not going to build your relationship with them, because this business is entirely relationship based. So from the very beginning, your goal with everybody you put in your database is to have some way to know what that relationship was built on. And most of us don't have the memory to just do it. So use the notes, use the extra fields. Your B leads, call every 2 to 3 days or at least once a week. Got to be honest, that sounds like a lot to me. So, but they do say it takes 7 touches to get the person to potentially answer you. It's really going to be a feel for you in terms of how you communicate with them. When I put somebody new that I'm getting in touch with, I do a combination of touches. So if I get all their information, I might then go out onto Facebook and friend them on Facebook because we had a great conversation, and that's going to give me a lot of information to connect with them later. Facebook, Instagram. Otherwise, I'm going to do a follow-up email thanking them for taking the time to talk with me. Don't let anybody tell you that the mail is dead. Other than the postal service being really slow right now, nothing works better than a personal thank you card or a personal note. It's so different than what other people are doing. I still write out probably 2 cards a day to different people for different reasons. I personally send at least 10 emails I send 4 to 5 texts and I send 2 cards, just to kind of keep in touch with the people. I don't have it in my database reminding me. You guys should. I do it based on who pops in my head that day. So when you're setting up your category B, you can touch them by email, you can touch them by phone, you can touch them by social media, and figure out what those steps are. So it doesn't feel like you're being a nudge. It feels like you're giving value added. If you've got their address and they're thinking about selling, but they're not sure, an email showing them what's sold in their neighborhood in the last 30 days, in the last 6 months, in the last year, anything that you think will get their attention and it will help brand you as an expert. Okay. And then, of course, the able, ready, and willing to do business, you really would like to get an appointment with them. You want to get in front of them. And while you're new, one of your best assets is to say, I am so excited. I just got into this business and I really love your house, your location, your this, your that. And I'd love the opportunity to talk to you and share my point of view to see how I can help you. So some people try to hide from being new. Use it as an asset. Use your excitement. You'll hustle more than some of the agents who've been in it forever because they may not prepare as much as you, figuring that they can just go wing the appointment. And you'd be surprised at how many times you can take the client because of your preparation. Okay. So when you're looking at the categories, that's how I think of them. Okay. Converting leads to contacts. So yes, you should ask for an appointment. You won't always get it, but sometimes you will get the referral to somebody else. You might have a conversation with them and they might say after talking, well, I realized I'm really not quite ready. So at that point, you just want permission to call them again in 3 months, 6 months, whatever it is. And in the meantime, you easily can say to them, do you know of anybody else who's considering this that I might be able to talk to? It comes out very naturally. People really want to help you. When you're looking for leads, you calling friends and family is not necessarily a comfortable thing. But if you talk to your friends and family and you don't say to them, I just got into real estate, I want you to list with me, sell with me, buy with me, whatever. If you say to them, I just got into real estate, I'm really excited. Do you know anybody who might be buying or selling? It's a totally different question with a lot less pressure, and people want to help their friends. So it's a good way to be able to do it. And if you feel like you've made a connection, it's great. Let's say you find out that they own a pizza shop. Well, then you can kind of reciprocate and say, love pizza, love that area, have friends in the area. I'll tell them about your pizza shop and see what value added you can give them in the conversation. I feel so one-sided talking here. Okay, let's see the next slide. So now pre-qualifying the sellers. So during those questions, we kind of said it, you want to understand their motivation, their timing. Why are they selling? Are they just trying to jump in on this crazy market? I got a call from somebody the other day who I'm meeting tomorrow, and they're going to move in with their parents because they've heard the market's crazy and they think they should sell now and take advantage of it, and they can do that. I sent mailers out last week to a neighborhood that buyers of mine specifically want to be in. And I got a call today from somebody saying, well, we don't really think we want to sell, but we would be willing to show it to your buyer. And if they liked it, they can make us an offer and we may sell. We have a place we can go. So understanding the motivation behind it is really important. So pay attention where the sellers come from. Goal is to win the listing. Allow you to price the home to sell for the most amount of money in the shortest time frame. This is a really strange time for pricing because you're going by comps, but then you're going by, how much over. I don't know, as you're talking to different people in your different offices, I'm sure you're hearing about the craziness. We had one this weekend where somebody went 101,000 over and didn't get the house, which, right? For lack of a nicer way to say it, it's batshit crazy. An agent who I work with, she's actually handling 2 of my buyers for me. She put in 4 offers last weekend. All of them were $50,000 over. All of them were accepting appraisal differences. All of them were 80% or better financing. And She didn't get any of them. So it's really hard right now. So all of this about pricing is going to be kind of an interesting dilemma for you all when you get your sellers appointments. And I would encourage you, talk to your mentors, call me, call somebody who's been in the business for a while as you're talking about pricing listings right now, because it's art and science.
I can't speak for anybody else, but I mean, you know, I live in Newtown Square and, you know, they're building, you know, crazy. I mean, you know, it's just high rises, you know, big giant communities. Toll Brothers did on DuPont's property, you know, and just then, you know, then you go down, they bought Edgemont Country Club and, you know, they're converting that into housing. You know, it just, I don't know. It seems like, you know, where are all these people coming from? I gotta wonder.
Right. And I mean, it's interesting. I don't know if you saw the statistic last week. There's actually more real estate agents nationally than houses for sale right now.
Is that right?
The new construction is certainly helping to give capacity. Biggest problem with new construction right now is because the costs are up so high, a sheet of plywood used to be $10, is now $50.
Yeah, I know.
The amount of time you're waiting for things to come in. So a lot of the big ones, NV, Toll, they're exercising their right to take 2 years to deliver. So when you sign a new construction contract to buy a house, there's a lot of outs for the builders in terms of time to deliver. So that's something that if you end up working with someone doing new construction, they use their own contracts. You really can't change them, but make sure that you're really reading them and that your client's really comfortable with the contract they sign, because delivery is getting pushed out farther and farther and farther. For all those apartments, Craig, I have no idea who's living in all those apartments.
Yeah, I mean, they're, you know,
they're
I mean,
everywhere.
and Toll Brothers seems to just crank them out. I mean, like, you know, I mean, like, you know, just crank them out.
But I mean, developments are selling out immediately. They can't keep up with the demand because there's just not enough housing for the people who are trying to buy right now.
Yeah, I
It's
mean,
also really sad because people buying can't take advantage of these great interest rates. Because your first time home buyers, a lot of the people you guys would be working with, they can't get into a house because they can't compete with the other people's financing. And it would be the best time for them to get into a house based on the mortgage rates. So it's really a shame. Setting seller expectations right now is a really important thing, and that will always be an important thing, because part of being an expert in this business and being there as the person working with them is for them to have reasonable expectations of your time, of the market, of the prices, of what they're going to have to do. In a typical seller transaction, they might have to fix some things, do some repairs, address some testing. Right now, people are waiving so much that you can get through with a lot less of that. So this is a very market-specific time to work with sellers, and you really have to be aware of the overall market. The best thing you can do if you're working with a seller, if you get a seller lead, is truly get to know their house, where it is, the market around them, what's happening. I don't know if on Bright, I guess it is now, if you've ever looked at some of the reports that show you market statistics, it's called, and the residential activity report. Two really good tools to understand what's going on in a township, a school district, or a neighborhood. Okay. So I highly recommend looking at those. There's nothing more embarrassing than going on a seller listing appointment or having a seller conversation and them knowing more than you about their neighborhood and the market. Any seller lead that I get, and this is just, you know, I don't know, for me, if I get the name of someone, I go, or they might mention where they live, anything I can get from them, I try to pull down their house and know where they live before they tell me. So I can have looked at the neighborhood, or just, you know, you're not going to do a ton of research before each one, but if you at least have some idea of what they're talking about, it's going to make it much easier to connect with them and turn that lead into an actual appointment, if that makes sense. Okay, pre-listing questionnaires. I know there is one online. If you don't have one, you can always get one, or you can make one up that works for you. It is really helpful to not get flustered during the calls, to truly be able to qualify them, to have the questions in front of you. Whether you ask them or not, you may or may not, but if you do, again, it helps trigger notes for what you're going to put them in command. So it's a great tool to use. For listings, for the listing presentation, there's tools online for that. There's CMAs through Bright. I use the basic CMA through Bright for my listing appointments in conjunction with the reports from Bright for market statistics and residential activity. I combine that all together in my own. And then that's what I take with me when I go meet with them. I don't always give it to them. That's going to be a decision you make when you're out at the appointment. Some real estate agents do a 1 appointment, some do a 2. I really do it depending on the house. If the house is in a neighborhood where there were 10 houses that turned over in the last 6 months, you have a really good idea of price before you walk in the door. In your preparation, you're going to take the time to look at the pictures from the house that sold. Did it have a finished basement? Did it back up to woods, or is it an interior lot? What are the details about it? And compare those different listings. Then you have a really good idea of a number that you can tell somebody that they might want to list at. If you walk in and it's a neighborhood that nothing sold in the past 2 years, well, then you don't necessarily want to be handing off comps, having walked, not seen the house. You might want to say to them, before I give you an idea of number and how I would market your home, I just needed to take a walk through, process it, do a little bit more research, and I'd like to come back in 2 days, 3 days, 4 days, whatever that is, and bring you my presentation of how I would list your home. That's how I do it with sellers. I specifically do unique properties, and I actually adore when I can go in on one, but typically I go see sellers twice. But the reason also being, if I can get in front of them twice, often I can get the listing, because it makes them feel I'm more thorough than just throwing numbers at them from the beginning. So that'll become kind of the vibe for how you work. Okay, and that's the slides they give you. So I wanted to stop sharing my screen and let's just talk. In terms of value, Emily Walski, you don't need to listen to me. Emily Walski's been doing this for a long time and does.
Yeah, because I've been listening to you from the very, very beginning. That's why.
Well, you're very sweet to say that, and you can jump in on here. So I was just going to tell you from, my years of working with sellers, some of the things that I think are important. So you really do want to think about what sets you apart from other agents, because typically people, when they call you, they're only going to call 1 or 2 people. And if you're the first one in, you can curtail them from calling the second person if you impress them. If you're the second one in, you can replace the impression they had of the first one by being really prepared. Being prepared means to practice knowing your value. Why should they hire you? If you don't believe the things that you say, then they're not going to believe them either. So take the time, as goofy as it is, to talk to yourself in the mirror about what you would say to them and know why you say it. And that value should have something to do with knowing the marketplace, doing the research, being a team player with them. Satisfied people if you're new to real estate, other areas of your life, or if you're in real estate for a while, the last couple deals you've done where people were really satisfied with you. All of that comes into why they should hire you. Confidence is contagious. If you are not confident, if you don't come off as confident, they're not going to hire you, because why would they hire someone who is in a way asking how to do it from them rather than knowing how to do it? That doesn't mean you should go in and be a know-it-all. The reality is, for lack of a better way to say it, it never works to walk in and know everything. You want to be listening more than you're talking, but you want to have the confidence coming through that not only can you help them, work with them, but you can conquer any issue that comes up. And Emily will back me up on this. It's really not about knowing everything about how to sell the property. It's about knowing that it can be sold. You're in it with them as a team. And right, Emily, I'm going to stop at that. I mean, it really,
Yeah, that's one of the biggest thing I've learned from you is that they're hiring you, you know, to really do this with them. So like you're basically committing to them, and if you could show them that and convey that to them, they're so loyal to you. And a lot of Chris's clients have been loyal to her again and again and again and again and again. And it's because she actually cares about them. And it's not just about the house and the numbers, it's about the relationship. So I would say that's the biggest thing I've learned from you.
and it will make it so much more fun. If you enjoy it, if you are a team player with them, it's so much more fun than just having it be a number and walking into the house and stressing. Because one of the other things about that confidence is, let's say you get the listing, let's say you're working with them. You can't be afraid to talk to them. So many people will get a listing, and this is not necessarily in this market because this market is crazy and things are selling so quickly. But when you're working with sellers in a regular market, a more difficult market, you need to stay in touch with them so they don't feel like you put it in the MLS and walked away. And the more time between when you talk to them, if you don't do a weekly call or a bi-weekly call, or just touch them to update them on anything, it gets harder and harder to make that call. And these sellers that you work with are your best commercial for your next seller. I've always said that what you're trying to create with anybody you work with is a raving fan. A raving fan will tell everybody about you. They will tell about your service. They will tell about the challenges you had. They might even tell that you screwed something up and this is how you fixed it. But they're a raving fan because you worked with them. And that's what you want to create. That's the person who's going to refer you to all the other people that you need to build your business instead of having to go out and cold call and sit open houses and things like that. So everybody that you talk to and work with, you really want to create that raving fan. And how you're going to differentiate yourself is up to you right now as you're building your business. I've differentiated myself with crazy customer service. You may differentiate yourself with a certain community really knowing about it, really knowing the numbers in that community. But think about it and how you're differentiating yourself. Preparation, as I said, you've really got to understand the property in the marketplace, and you really do want to prepare before you go into an appointment. If you say you're going to do something for a seller, do it. Like that 2 appointment sale instead of a 1 appointment listing appointment. If you say you're going to get them a market analysis or information in 2 days, get it to them, because if you don't, you just lost that person as a client now and as a referral, even if they didn't work with you. I can tell you that over the years, there's people who haven't worked with me, but they've still recommended me to somebody else in their life that needs a realtor. They've chosen somebody for some other reason. They feel they need to use them. But because you create that relationship based on confidence and knowledge, they will still potentially refer you to someone else. And that's kind of the last thing, and then I really want to stop talking, is be gracious always, because it is such a small world. The seller that you don't connect with, you might talk to their best friend a month from them, and they heard that you were there, and they know the name. If you were gracious, even if you didn't connect, it's going to be a positive thing. Never talk bad about another agent that you find out you're competing with, because that's somebody that you're going to be partnering with on a deal down the road. Never talk bad about a prior client or a bad experience you had. If you had a bad experience, turn it around and find a way to make it a positive experience that you solved a problem for, because everybody knows everybody and it all comes back to haunt you. And just be somebody, if you want to work with sellers, it's confidence, it's preparation, and it's being somebody who they would enjoy having a relationship with. And you can build your business on that. Okay, questions. I think I'm done talking. And we have like 15 minutes, or we can be done. I mean, whatever's best for everybody. Okay,
Can you hear me?
I can hear you.
Oh, I turned the video off. I was trying to hit mute. You're the best. And that really helped me in the really beginning when you did that. Because if you're not confident, like I used to call Chris all the time, especially when I started to list higher end properties, I was so intimidated because they're, I think, generally more intimidating clients. They're very well educated on the price of their home and finance and all that. And I found it very intimidating. And she always would just tell me, just be confident that you're going to help them, that you're committed to them and that you're going to see this through and you're going to get the sale done. So even if you're not confident on the price and everything else, that helped me so much the first couple of years. Thanks, Chris.
Oh, yes. And if I can help anybody at any point, we have now met. So feel free to call me. That is the beauty of Keller Williams. We are all in it together. I've been in the business long enough that I've seen pretty much every challenging situation. And I really can tell you, and I think it comes through to my sellers, as Emily said, I really enjoy working with people who have challenging situations. So if that's what you enjoy, you are in the perfect business, because no two deals are alike. Nothing is ever easy. And even the most slam dunk you think you have will have a challenge at the end of the day. So prepare yourself for it and find a way to enjoy it. The more you enjoy it, the more people will want to work with you.
What office are you out of?
I'm with Keller Williams Exton.
Exton.
Yes, I'm on the Logan team. If you've heard of Janelle Logan, a lot of people have heard of Janelle Logan. And I mentored her years ago. So
I just know Lewis from being on here.
I know Lewis. Lewis is great. Great knowledge.
Question for Chris and Emily. I'm going to try to ask it in a tricky way and hopefully I bait you. What did your first year or two look like? I think some of us are either feeling like we're going too slow or maybe too fast. And it's always nice to have a comparison. What did your first year or two look like?
I would tell you that what I tell agents, I was lucky because I started out managing a boutique brokerage firm. So I was able to then switch over to Keller Williams with quite a book of business. You should look at your first year, and it's a crazy time. So it's really hard to use past years as experience, because if you start out, a lot of times you start out working with buyers, and right now that's just really hard. But your first year to me is a building year. You just want to build your database, get in front of people, learn, follow people around, be available to help people. Your second year, you start to get more value from that. You get more real business because you're more confident. People trust you more. Your third year is really when it hits. Your third year, everything you did for the first 2 years comes back into play. And that's when you really start doing well. If you're goal driven, set yourself a goal, and the goal shouldn't necessarily be about dollars and transactions. It's about how many people did I put in my database? How many people did I touch? How many people am I keeping in touch with? All right, you go, Em.
No, I think the first year, everything that you just said, and then I think the big thing is don't compare yourself to anybody else in the business, because everybody does it differently. Everybody comes in at different periods in their life. Some people come in with another job. Some people come in with money to invest into this business right away, which is going to set them at a different level. So I would just say, like Chris said, treat it as a building year, and it's one thing after another. I say break. I would just keep trying to break my systems. So I would pick one thing to try to perfect, and then I would perfect it and break it until it needed something more to be added onto it. So that's what I did. And just like she said, it's just adding into that database. And I think figuring out how you're going to attack this business and what your tactic is, and then committing to that. What are your strengths? What are you bringing to the table? How are you going to convey that and build on that? Because that's how you're going to be super successful. If you're trying to do all these things that aren't you, and they don't fit your current life, and you don't enjoy doing it, and you're not conveying that, you're not going to come off well to the client. So I think figuring out what your own personal strengths are, and just building on them, it will snowball after that. But my first year, I got in the business in January. I had 4 kids. The baby was like a baby. So I don't think I had my first sale until March. And then from there, it just kept building. But I'm a very much like Krista, I'm database referral. So it was that second, third year that it just took off. So the people that I talked to the first year are now selling houses the third, fourth year.
It is a
Thank you.
long game. You're playing the long game. It's great when the things hit in the short game, but you're playing the long game. Other questions?
I have a question.
Oh, boy.
So I always have a question. Now with this market, like you're talking about pricing, it's really hard to price these sellers, and they're seeing things and they kind of want to shoot for it, which I'm all about as long as you have the conversation. But like, let's just give this example, and I just want to hear what you have to say. Put a property up last week. We're priced well above the comps and the pendings. I told them, look, we can try it because I'm not going to tell you no, because like you said, things are going for XYZ over. It needs a lot of work, but it's been a weekend, not even a weekend. It's been 4 days. I know we're priced too high because I haven't got any offers. I'm getting a ton of people. And the conversation in this current market is so different because he's like, we haven't even been on the market a week. I'm like, yeah, I know, but we're totally going to start to get offers below your ask price, where I feel like if we would just take a small little drop right now, I'll probably get him the multiple offers. So that's kind of my question, like in this strange market that we're in, like how are you shifting your conversations with sellers, and what are some things that you're running into?
I'm shifting it. In that case, you're absolutely right. And I would be telling him that the normal market is compressed into those 3 or 4 days. The reality is he's gotten the same exposure that he would have gotten in a typical 14 to 28 days before you were going to reduce in those first days. And while you support taking the shot, the bottom line is he's over enough that the people aren't willing to absorb it. I would show him kind of what did go under agreement in 2, 3, and 4 days right now. At what price point, if there are any comps near it. I don't know. What price point are you in, Emily?
Yeah, it's like $500,000.
Yeah.
It's like,
yeah. So
it
those,
needs to be more like 475. Yeah.
and those properties are flying off the market. He probably,
Yeah.
you know what I mean? They are. So you've got so much to be able to show him by looking at what has gotten offers and gotten under agreement, that I would tell him that he's chancing missing that market completely by waiting too long because he feels like it hasn't been on the market long enough.
Thank you.
It's an interesting market. And we're seeing that now where sellers are trying to go too high compared to, and that's the strategy. Do I go high and then I'm going to see offers under it, or am I trying to create a bidding war? And that's really a function of what are the comps around it? How much higher are you going? You know, at a $500,000 property, I think you can go high and still hit it. But you kind of have shown with that one that you can't. You know, whether it's not updated enough, whether the lot isn't good enough, there's some other issue, because people are accepting houses in condition they might not at higher numbers. But if there's still some flaw in terms of, you know, location, power lines, road noise, that's going to be what's probably holding that property back more than anything about house condition.
Thanks.
I'm just curious about something. You said the houses are going $50,000 over. Now, what happens if the house doesn't get appraised for that?
Appraisal is really an interesting question right now. We've been seeing where people are absorbing the appraisal problem, and for a seller. So let's say you're a seller and you get 10 offers and you're considering those offers on a spreadsheet side by side. If you have somebody who is either a 70 or an 80% finance, but is a slightly lower number than somebody who's a 95% finance, you're going to go with the person who's got the better financing because they can absorb that difference. Some people are even writing into the contracts that they'll absorb the appraisal loss or an appraisal loss up to a certain percentage. And for maybe a week, maybe 2 weeks, appraisals sounded like they weren't gonna get there. But I can tell you in the last couple weeks, what I'm hearing from agents is the appraisals are coming in again. Because we're in such a fast moving market and because things are settling so quickly, we're getting so many settlements in 30 days that you're starting to see the comps come to support the appraisal too.
Mm,
And
Okay.
from what we're hearing, they're also like waiving inspections. Is that correct?
Yes, there's a
I
lot of
mean-
waiving inspections.
And at that point, I'm assuming if you're a buyer's agent, you would ask them to absolutely get a home warranty. Huh?
Really depends. Home warranty is one of those things. It's a little bit like the extended warranty on the computer in a way. So it really depends on the property, how old it is, how old the appliance is. So that's a different kind of thing. And you as an agent never want to say to your client, you should waive appraisal or waive inspections. You as an agent are supporting them that they should be inspecting, but you are informing them that in the market right now, a lot of people are waiving them.
But you have, right, you have to let them know that because, like you said, if there's 10 offers, I mean, how many of them have the home inspection waived?
9. And the other one has it for information only.
Right.
Wow.
Right. So these are all important things. And it's great if you can get one through with information only because they can still walk away if they find something major. And it's a bit of a business decision for the seller at that point if somebody's walking away. Another tool that's been working well for somebody who definitely wants to inspect is a high deductible. So I had a house, it had a septic and a well. And the offer we accepted had a $15,000 inspection deductible. So they were going to inspect, but they wouldn't ask for anything until it hit at least $15,000.
That's good.
So we were pretty confident in letting them inspect. And to me, that was more attractive than information only because they might get upset about something that's like a $2,000 fix.
I have a question. If you take the inspection for information only, can you back up the deal or like, if the result like it wasn't good, can you say, I don't want the house anymore as a buyer? Like,
Yes. Yes, you still,
Yeah.
it is still a contingency where you have a contingency that says I can terminate. What you've said with information only is that I'm not going to negotiate with you about what I find. It's for my information, so I understand the house.
but the buyer can back up if the
Yes.
information, okay.
But sellers are starting to say that's not okay too, because we know you can buy out if they're concerned about it, back out. So, it's a time that you have to be creative. And also from an appraisal standpoint, when somebody has higher, like 80% or 70%, so low, a higher down payment, we're seeing appraisal waivers again, based on the quality of the person.
For the cash buyer, you mean? For the-
Yes, well, cash buyer or somebody who's just doing, not a high mortgage, you're seeing the mortgage companies give waivers. And if they give a waiver, there's no appraisal to even consider.
Yeah.
And then that usually is known as part of the offer. So a bunch of offers I've gotten, they've said, we have an appraisal waiver. So that's a much more attractive offer to me because it doesn't matter if it appraises.
Mhm.
They're never gonna try.
What's the other option you were talking about? This better than inspection for information only?
To put a number on it. So you'll absorb $5,000, on the inspection issues.
Oh, okay.
You
Okay.
still can back out completely, but it makes some people less nervous because you're showing them how much you'll absorb. I
Oh,
accepted one with 15,000 and one with 8,000. So it's a really fun time to get into real estate.
Well, it's funny, I have a buddy and he's got he's got 2 properties in Newtown Square and, he hasn't taken care of them at all. And he's, a semi hoarder. You know, and I keep telling him, I mean, you know, he thinks they're worth like next to nothing, and I keep telling him, you know, you'll get the money, you know, you gotta list one, you know?
And that's your seller lead that you should be working hard and bringing him comps. And you can say to him, yours might not be in as good a shape as this, so there'll be a discount off this, but now is a perfect time to sell it and maximize what he can get.
Right, and as long as, you know, you're upfront about everything, you know, because, you know, it probably needs a new well, you know, this kind of thing.
Do an accurate disclosure. I do find people waive less of inspections when it's septic and well. Your ones that they're really waiving are anything that are, you know, the house is less than 5 years old. It's public water, public sewer, it's in a development, or you're in a, you know, it's attached housing and the roof and the exteriors are covered by the HOA. There's not a ton of risk to waiving those inspections because what's going to go wrong? Your hot water heater? You know, maybe you need HVAC if it's been 10 years,
Right.
but realistically, if it's been taken care of, you might not need HVAC for 14 or 18 years. So the risk to waiving inspections in a lot of these standard houses is not very high, you know, to compete. But yes, you guys should be going after anybody you know who has something to sell that they're not personally living in. If they have it as a rental, if they, you know, own more than one house and they're only using one. If there's a house out there that someone doesn't need to find a house to buy by selling, you should be targeting them as sellers because now is the best market they're going to have.
I see a lot of those coming on the market right now. Like
Yeah.
they're with tenant occupied, which
Mhm.
also it can be a win-win because they usually show like SHIT and you can probably secure that for a buyer who's willing to look past some of that
Yep.
without a ton of offers. So we've been actually working with a lot of that.
Right.
Because
it's
a
a
ton
great
of people
time.
are putting their investments on.
I have done mailers because I was doing a mailer for another reason. So I've done mailers. I came across, I think 14 names where the address that the mailer went to was not the same as the location. They were in other states. So I got in touch. I did a second mailer to all of those people. I've had one call back and say, you know, we'd consider selling. So, and the way you look for that, you guys are all learning to use Bright and all that. So if you, let's say you like a neighborhood, check the neighborhood and look the mail to address versus the street address. And send an inquiry to the, or use Cole, if you can get the telephone number, and send a letter to the mailing address. Because it could be a rental, could be grandma lives there. And maybe it's time for her to go into different housing. So those are a great way to source seller leads. All right, well, it's 3:30. What else? I can answer anything else if you want for a few more minutes. I appreciate all your patience since this is the first time I've ever done one of these Keller Williams classes.
You did good.
It's great.
Thank you.
Great,
Appreciate that.
Thank you.
They're good.
They're very good.
If I can do anything for any of you at any point, feel free to reach out. I'd say right now phones are bad, so easiest is text and email, but if I can answer any question as you go through your real estate journey, feel free.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah.
All right, take care, everybody. Emily, thank you for jumping on.
Oh, I saw your name. I was not missing this.
Well, I was kind of glad that more people didn't see my name and jump on, but you, I'm so happy to hear from. So,
All right. Hopefully I'll see you soon.
yeah, I look forward to it. Bye, everybody.
Key West. We're going to Key West.
Yes, it's on the calendar.
All right.
All
Bye.
right, bye all.